Barakatah Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, B'chai Kodash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is A Small Indicator to What's Coming. And pretty much when I got up this morning, the thought of the Apostle Paul came to mind, when he was persecuting the church, and the thought followed by, the Apostle Paul was putting in work on the believers of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. I mean, he was getting busy on them. And then the following thought after that was, this is a small indicator to what's coming. So I quickly got up, to, try to formulate, something to do a lesson on, dealing with that, particular reasoning. Because even yesterday at the camp, when we were speaking, that was the sentiment, that the Lord's going to start fucking Jake up out here, and we understand that, it's going to begin, with the believers or the ones that are, in the faith, and it's also going to hit hard among these Israelites out here, that either know or don't know that they're Israelites, and are not getting themselves prepared and ready mentally for what's coming. All right. So I want to get a precept, but before we read that, just as they say, for shits and giggles, right? I looked up, what does a small indicator mean? Just to see. I mean, I know what it means, but I just wanted to see what I could find, to use for this lesson, to give it a catapult, so to speak, if you know what I mean. So I typed in a small indicator meaning. I got all kind of stuff, but one thing that came up, it says, what do you mean by an indicator? It says a person or thing that indicates, signals, or points out. Then the next one is what are indicators in simple terms? An indicator is a measurement or value that gives you an idea of what something is like. All right. So when we read about the Apostle Paul and the persecution that came against the church, that would be like a small indicator to what's coming now. Because remember, before the Apostle Paul, whose name was Saul at the beginning, got into the ministry, he was putting in work on Jake. He was, locking him up, putting him in prison, consenting to their death, as we're gonna read. I mean, he was putting in major work on Jake back then, especially the believers, and that's why the main target that these devils are coming after are the Israelites that know that they're Israelites. You see, and this is why they're just lumping everybody up together in one big, Hebrew or black Hebrew Israelite, however they want to put it. They're lumping everybody together. They're not making separations between camps or beliefs or doctrine. They're lumping everybody together because when they bring about the persecution, it's coming against everybody. It ain't just going to come against one group or two groups or whatever the case may be. They're coming for everybody. All right? And this is going to be the fury of the Lord upon them. All right? Now, I've been thinking about this a lot lately, since the Elder Damashipat said it to me. And, he actually mentioned it in the lesson. I believe he also did a lesson on it. That the Elder Ash in the Indianapolis camp, I had a dream years ago where, I can't really remember all of it, but something along the lines where, there was a persecution coming. I'm just putting it into my words so best I could understand it. And then Yahweh Shai came and he started killing the opposition, right? And then everybody was cheering, yeah, And then the Lord, once he finished taking out the opposition, he was walking through the crowd of Israelites, that was cheering them, and he was killing some of them. You know, and that shows you that this is a very serious, grave thing, man. You know, you have to really know what you're involved in, and you have to, pray every day, like King David did, that the Lord don't take His Holy Spirit away from us. You know, because that's a scary thing. You know, to serve the Lord and still not know if we're gonna be delivered. You know, not know if we're in His good graces. Remember, the Lord is not, He's not in the human flesh right now like we are. He's in total power, total glory. You know, and the like the scriptures say, at our ignorance the Lord winked at. You know, there's no more winking now that brothers are in the truth. There's no more winking, at ignorance, because everybody now knows that the Lord woke up. You know, He said, "He that knew, it shall be beaten with more stripes, and he that didn't know is going to be beaten with less stripes." But he's still going to be beaten. You know, so this is very serious. That's why the Lord said He's an austere man. And we know this. So when He comes back to do His business, He ain't going to be playing around. But prior to Him coming, you're going to have a great persecution, even against those that believe in Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua, that are doing His work. Remember, He spoke about the martyr, in the book of Revelation, the 2nd chapter, and many others. Now the word martyr simply means, witness. It doesn't really mean somebody put to death, but it has that connotation, because the ones that were being put to death were the ones that were witnessing of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua's doctrine. All right, so we're just going to get straight to the point. We're just going to go to 2nd Ezra 16 and 70. For there shall be in every place, and that means every place, all throughout America, all throughout Canada, all throughout South America, the islands, around the world, everywhere, right? And in the next cities, a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord. See? So it's going to start with the ones that fear the Lord. Because a lot of these jakes out here, they're not going to have a problem with selling out. And even men in the truth are selling out. Because there's a lot of suspicious activity going on out here. But anyways, they shall be like madmen, meaning these troops that the Lord is going to allow Esau to unleash on Israel, sparing none. See, they ain't gonna be sparing none. No, we were with you, man. We said that, we are all for stop and frisk. They ain't sparing nobody. Anyone that is associated with, anyone that watched even one video of the Hebrew Israelites, anyone that may have walked by a camp and threw the fist up, hey, shalom, brothers, or whatever. Everybody's lumped in there together. Remember, this man is the accuser of our brethren, which means he categorizes everything. You go to the Greek word kategoria, that means you categorize everything. For what? For the purpose of accusing. All right? And that's what's coming. It's going to be a great persecution. So when we read about the Apostle Paul, this is just a small indicator of what's going to happen. And remember, the Apostle Paul was putting in work. He was putting in work on Jake. He was zealous to do damage and harm to the believers of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua, because he really thought that he was doing it in sincerity. Others were just doing it because they were just demons. The Apostle Paul was doing it in his ignorance, because he really thought that that they were desecrating the law, statutes, commandments. Remember, you got to remember this very important thing, that when this was going on, this was not too long before that. You had the Hellenization of Israel, and you had a lot of sellouts. So that zeal was still in some of the Pharisees that were even righteous ones. So they were looking at this as, oh shit, not this shit again. We're not going to be dealing with this uprising and having these wicked sellouts, going, and becoming Greeks. We're not going to have this. And this is what, this is what, I'm just, this is what I believe. This is something that's coming into my spirit right now, that was the sentiment. They said, oh no, not another one of this, not some more of this bullshit. Nope, we ain't gonna be dealing with that shit that we dealt with, a couple hundred years ago. with the whole Hellenization thing. This ain't going down, and not on our watch. You know. And eventually the Lord, when the Lord actually came to him, then he realized that, damn, I was doing the wrong thing. It says, they shall be like madmen, sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord. Because this doctrine, this gospel, this truth, this Bible, and the understanding that we're teaching is the biggest threat to Esau's agenda moving forward. And that's why they're doing every and anything that they can, you know, to destroy it. You know, I was watching a little bit of an interview that Sonetta did with Vocab, you know, about One West, and pretty much Vocab, you know, was going in on General Yohana, which he's correct. There's no term for general in the New Testament, you know, and so on and so forth. But he mentioned about the word apostle. Nobody was called an apostle except for the ones that the Lord came to. Yeah, but the word apostle, when you understand the word apostle simply means sent away. APO is to send, and STLE is away. You know, apostle, sent away. For what was the purpose? Because these men had the doctrine and they were already learned enough to where they can teach others. Because they would be teaching others that would be disciples, and eventually they would become apostles. The men, once they came to the full understanding of the doctrine. So this doctrine is a major, you know, problem for Esau and his and his new world order. Now when we go to Acts 9:1, right, it says, and Saul, yet breathing out threatenings and slaughter against the disciples of the Lord, went unto the high priest and desired of him letters to Damascus, to the synagogues, that if he found any of this way, whether they were men or women, he might bring them bound unto Jerusalem. So the Apostle Paul was putting in work. He was so zealous and so angry, you know, and so jealous for what he was taught, that he was, you know, when you breathing out threatenings, you motherfucker, I'm gonna get you, I'm gonna fucking kill, I'm gonna tear your ass, I'm gonna tear you limb from limb, I'm gonna rip you out the frame, you motherfucker, you know. He was just breathing out threatenings. Wait till I get to the, wait till I get here. Wait till I get to the synagogue, to the elders in the synagogue. I'm gonna have them give me letters, and I'm gonna go to Damascus, and I'm gonna pulverize these Israelites that are going off. He was very angry, very zealous, you know, for that way, because he really thought that he was doing the right thing. But in the case of these devils, when they come, they ain't going to be reasoning like that. They're not going to be thinking about, oh, you know, they're really righteous men. No, we got to get rid of these motherfuckers because they're in the way of progress. And you got too many people waking up to the truth. You know, we got to stomp this out. They ain't coming with the reasoning of the Apostle Paul. Remember, the Lord said that they shall be like madmen, sparing none. Now, when we go to Philippians 3, right, I'm going to start at 1, the point is in 6. It says, finally, brethren, rejoice in the Lord. To write the same things to you, to me indeed is not grievous, but for you it is safe. Beware of dogs, beware of evil workers, beware of the concision. He was talking about the Jews that knew that they were Jews. He said, beware of them. For we are the circumcision which worship the Most High in the Spirit, and rejoice in Yahushua HaMashiach, and have no confidence in the flesh. And we don't have confidence in the flesh. But we know that there's certain things that we still have to maintain, you know, as far as keeping the law, which is a physical thing. But we don't have any confidence in the flesh, because we know that Yahushua is coming to deliver us. We're just doing a rehearsal. We're doing it, you know, based off of the fear of the Lord. And that's pretty much it. But as far as having confidence in the flesh, we don't. Because, look, you know, the Apostle Paul said, do we make void the law through faith? So if you have faith, do you make void the law? Absolutely not. He said, no. He said, yea, we establish the law. So to establish something means to keep it. And he was speaking to the Israelites in, I believe that was Rome. Yeah, in Rome. The saints that were in Rome, which are Israelites. It says, though I might also have confidence in the flesh. If any other man thinketh that he has whereof he might trust in the flesh, I more. Circumcised the 8th day, of the stock of Israel, of the tribe of Benjamin, a Hebrew of the Hebrews, as touching the law, a Pharisee. Concerning zeal, persecuting the church. So the Apostle Paul was putting in work, man. Matter of fact, I'm going to look up this word persecuting, because the word persecute simply means to follow. You know, and that's what was happening. You know, the men of the Lord, wherever they were at, they were being followed. You know, you had something called a frumentari, which were the secret police of the Romans. You know, and they would go, you know, amongst the people and try to get out, you know, and act like they were against Caesar to see who was against Caesar so they could bring blame to them. You know, and you had a lot of infiltrators, a lot of spies. And you still have them today. You got a lot of spies out here today, still to this day. Among all the great, we're not even talking about the other camps, because they got their own spies. You know, and some of the top leaders are spies. You know, but we're talking about in Great Millstone, you have spies. You know, and they'll come and act like they're with you because they're trying to get out secrets from you to bring an accusation against you. Remember, when the Pharisees and them, the wicked ones, came to Yahushua, they were asking questions because they were tempting him so they can catch him in his words. But you're not going to catch us in anything outside of teaching the word. What we are guilty of, if we are brought under charges, is teaching the word of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua in truthfulness, sincerity, and the proper doctrine. That's what we're guilty of. So if you know, if in the court of law, you know, that would make us guilty, then hey, we are guilty of that. That is, you know, our guilt, because we are known for teaching the word. So I'm gonna look up this word persecuting, and I wanted to go back to the other one. I meant to look that up. The word there is dioko. Dioko. The word dioko means to make, to run, or flee, put to flight, drive away, right? Because persecuting means you chasing, and the person that you're chasing or persecuting, they fleeing away. Remember, Apostle Paul had to be let down by a window, you know, and many other instances where, you know, the men of the Lord had to flee from certain areas. Yahushua even said it best, you know, when you come to a city, let your peace rest upon that city. If they accept you, beautiful. If they don't, then wipe the very dust off of your feet and move on to the next city. Don't sit there with them, harassing them year after year. You know, you better listen to us. You know, like that devil vocab does. These devils are, they're fucking delusional. This devil is going to tell you, no, that's not the breakdown. Oh, so what's the breakdown? Okay, according to what? According to some Edomites that put some curriculum together in some college. And because you have a certificate, that makes you the boss? Get the fuck out of here, man. We don't deal with your bullshit. Scripture say the wisdom of this world is foolishness with the Most High. And he chose the foolish things to confound the wise. They asked the Lord, they said, they reasoned among themselves, man, how does this man know all these letters without never learning? We never seen him in our schools. I'm just, you know, extrapolating that part. We never seen him in our schools because Yahushua wasn't going to those schools. Why? Because he was being directly taught of the Lord, Yahweh. I will make him of quick understanding in the fear of the Lord. This is why at the age of 12, he was confounding men that had been, you know, masters in the law. He was confounding them. You know? It says to run swiftly in order to catch a person or thing. To run after, see? So the word persecution means to chase. And if you're chasing, obviously somebody's running. So I wanted to go back to Acts 9:1. I wanted to see if the word breathing out, threatening. Okay, so you got two. So breathing out is empneho. Empneho means to breathe in or on, to inhale. Threatenings and slaughter were, so to speak, the element from which he drew his breath. See, I'm a crush these Israelites that believe in the Lord. Inside joke. I'm a crush Rakaya Allah. Oh Lord. And then threatenings is apile, a threatening threat. So he was breathing out threatenings. And you know it wasn't no pretty stuff coming out the Apostle Paul's mouth. Oh, you know, you guys are cussing, man. You shouldn't be cussing. Man, shut the fuck up, man. So concerning zeal, persecuting the church, touching the righteousness which is in the law, blameless. All right? So this is just a small indication of what's coming. Now, when we go to the book of Acts 18 and 1, and this is actually, you can go to you can go to the records. You know, there's a word for it. I'm trying to think of the word. I can't think of it right now. You know, oh, matter of fact, before I go there, damn, there's a word for it. I can't think of it right now. You know, the outside sources of the scriptures, but it's a way that it's worded. I can't think of it right now. You know, in other words, it's outside of the Bible, and it's in, you know, it's pretty much in for lack of better words, worldly records. You know, in the history, you know, you can actually go and find this out, that Tiberius actually wrote, you know, these things to get rid of the Israelites out of Rome at that time. But let me read this real quick. Acts 22 and 19. And I said, Lord, they know that I imprisoned and beat in every synagogue them that believed on thee. Right? It says, and when the blood of the martyr Stephen was shed, I also standing by and consenting unto his death, and kept the raiment of them that slew him. And he said unto me, depart, for I will send thee far hence unto the Gentiles, which were the Israelite foreigners. You know, because his job was to gather the Israelites that were scattered among these heathens that were being called Gentiles, or being called heathens. So he was there when the blood of the martyr Stephen was shed. All right, and many other persecutions took place. Acts 18 and 1. Acts 18 and 1, right? It says, and these things, after these things, Paul departed from Athens and came to Corinth, and found a certain Jew named Aquila, born in Pontus, lately come from Italy, right? So this was in Greeks. And he found this one individual named Aquila that was born in Pontus. He said, lately come from Italy, with his wife Priscilla, because that Claudius had commanded all Jews to depart from Rome, and came into them. All right. So this is damn, man, there's a fucking word for it. Silak, you know, there's a word for it, but I can't think of it right now. It's like a phrase, you know. It's not extra biblical, you know. It's you know, it's like a worldly source, but I can't think of the name right now. But anyways, we moving on. So this was a great persecution. So if you look on the records, you'll see that Claudius actually, you know, this is an actual thing in those records, outside of the scriptures, that give credence to the Bible. Just like you go to Daniel 2 or you go to Daniel 7, and you have sources out there outside of the Bible that bring about the historical points from biblical prophecy. But they don't source the Bible. These are just events that took place in history that were written in the scriptures prior to them happening. And this is why, you know, the priests were able to show, you know, Alexander the Greek, you know, that he was mentioned in the scriptures. And when they showed him that, it said that he perceived, you know, that they was talking about him. All right. So going real quick to Acts 6 and 8. And Stephen, full of faith and power, did great wonders and miracles among the people. Then there arose certain of the synagogue, which is called the synagogue of the Libertines, and the Cyrenians and Alexandrians, which were all Israelites that were in, the interiors of Africa, Alexandria, Cyrene, and those areas. All right, and of them of Cilicia and of Asia disputing with Stephen. So these were Israelites that would be known. Secular history, Tawada, my brother, Tawada. That's it right there. Hey, Tawada, what the hell about your mouth shut? I could not, that phrase was not coming to my mind at all. Secular history, that's it, Tawada, brother. You're a gentleman and a scholar, Tawada. All right, so these Israelites were what the Greek calls Hellenistas. There's a difference between the Hellen and the Hellenistas, right? The Hellen, when we read in the Bible, there's no difference between the Jew and the Greek. That word Greek is Hellen. Those are the Israelites that didn't know that they were Israelites. Now, the word Hellen can apply to Esau and the other nations, but in the case of when we read in the scriptures where it says, there's no difference between the Jew and the Greek, the word Hellen there means an Israelite that didn't know that he was an Israelite. He was calling himself Greek, had Greek name, spoke the Greek language, kept the Greek customs, worshipped the Greek gods, so on and so forth. But then the Hellenistas were Israelites that knew that they were Jews, but they were speaking the Greek language. And you had a bunch of them in Alexandria, in Cyrene, up in North Africa. You had a whole mess of them throughout Asia. We read Cilicia, Asia, in those areas. They were all over the place. And they will come to Jerusalem 3 times in a year, according to, Deuteronomy 16:16, to keep the feast. This is where you had the Ethiopian eunuch, who was an Israelite, that was being called an Ethiopian eunuch because he happened to be a eunuch for the queen in Ethiopia. And he was coming to Jerusalem, to keep the feasts of the Lord. All right? So, Acts 6 and... All right, so it says, then there arose certain of the synagogue, which is called the synagogue of the Libertines, and Cyrenians and Alexandrians, and them of Cilicia and of Asia, they were disputing with Stephen. See, so they were arguing with him. And they were not able to resist the wisdom and the spirit by which he spake. This is why you have underhanded mother effers that are trying to connect us, with criminal things, so to speak, because they can't resist the wisdom. And this is why that devil vocab, when you talk to him, he don't answer questions. What he does is filibuster. Filibuster is a tactic, a technique in politics, where people speak and put so many words and bide their time, to where eventually the original question that was asked them, the people forget about that question. And that's what vocab is good at. He's been trained at that. You got to remember, there's a technique for questioning, training, that people are taught on the news. In the news. On the news, they do that. Those reporters and all that, they're taught how to manipulate you. When you watch these talk shows, that are controlled by Esau, they're taught how to manipulate the conversation and keep on talking until the original, question is forgotten, because they're not there to answer questions. See, a defender of the gospel is there to defend the gospel, meaning if you ask a question of a particular thing, they're going to hit you with scriptures, to dispute that, to show you that you're wrong. That's not, vocab and them, they're not apologists. Vocab and them are demonologists. They're demonologists, because all they do is just keep talking and ignore your questions. This is why over the years, all the questions they asked us, we answered. All the questions we asked them, they never answered, not even one of them. All right? It says, and they suborned men, now check this out, which said, we have heard him speak blasphemous words against Moses and against the Most High. See? So they couldn't resist the wisdom. So what they do? They did some underhanded shit. They hired men. They gave them that. They Judas bagged them up. All right, and that word for suborn is hupabalo, right, which means to throw or put under, to suggest to the mind, to instruct privately, instigate, to bribe or induce someone, unlawfully or secretly, to perform some misdeed or commit a crime. So we're not the ones at fault. The crime falls on them that are paying people to give false witness. And we read about that all. They hired many false witnesses against Yahweh Shai. And none of them could convict the Lord because he was guiltless to the charges. See? So they got to make something up to try to, make something stick to us. Because their whole job is to try to, not to debunk what we're teaching, because they can't. They can't resist it. But their whole job is to try to find something to charge us criminally, so that when people hear about, the Hebrews, them bunch of criminals, them bunch of bums, And that's the whole sentiment. Like when members of the IUIC, Noah brothers from Great Millstone, immediately, those are the bums. That's the bum camp. Don't even listen to them. No, listen, nothing they got to say, because that's the bum camp. And they immediately dismiss everything, even though the message that we're giving them is very detrimental for their spiritual welfare and physical welfare, because eventually these devils are gonna come and destroy a lot of Israelites. But they ain't not listening. They ain't listening, but that's okay. Because when the Lord give them that act right, then they're going to want to get right, and it's going to be too late. All right, so pretty much we got the point there. So they suborned men. Why? Because they couldn't resist, the spirit that he was coming in. It says, then they suborned men, which said, we have heard him speak blasphemous words against Moses and against the Most High. And they stirred up the people and the elders and the scribes, and came upon him and caught him and brought him to the council. See? So now remember, they were always trying to catch, the men of the Lord in their speech. But they couldn't resist. They were setting traps, asking questions, just like that double vocab. Even though he's an Edomite, but that's why the Lord said to them wicked Pharisees and them, you are your father the devil. Because that's the same thing they learned from their daddy, Esau. Vocab, Haman Malone. The Agagite. So they brought him to the council. It says, and set up false witnesses. So they were what? Persecuting them. Remember this one thing. The men of the Lord, for the most part, didn't go to these people. They would come to the men of the Lord. Yahweh Shai would just be teaching. Then you always had the devils coming to fuck with him. Asking him questions, good master, what good thing, And the Lord looking at them, man, like I see right through your ass. I see you coming a mile away, Joker. Inside joke. It says, and set up false witnesses, which said, this man ceases not to speak blasphemous words against this holy place and the law. Why? Because they were working on the emotions of the people. Just like these false prophets today work on the emotions of these people. Call us rapists, they call us bums, they call us whatever. And the emotional part of Jake will not allow reason to enter into their brain to say, wait a minute, if these men were doing these things, would they not eventually get locked up for that? But what I'm hearing from them, I'm hearing the reports that they're saying of them, but the actions that I'm seeing and witnessing are contrary to what these individuals are saying. See, that reason escapes them. So let me hear what they got to say. Well, wait a minute. They're talking about the MOTB, being a micro C-hip, and the whole world is turning into a digital society economically. And at least reasoning like that would allow them to see and consider and go and study, look words up, go through the root words of that, and then be like, whoa, I see it. But they're not going to see it unless they are part of the elect. So it says, for we have heard him say that this Yahushua of Nazareth shall destroy this place and shall change the customs which Moses delivered us. And he did. But it was because of grace. But yet, no, in the law itself, in the Old Testament, the part of the second covenant is having the laws, statutes, and commandments put into our inward parts. So they're not going to be taken away. But guess what? The priesthood is not going to be a Levitical priesthood anymore. Because all of the men of the nation of Israel will be priests and kings. See? That's the difference. There's not going to be any sacrifice for sins. I don't care what certain individuals say. Because Israel is going to be all perfect. So how the fuck are there going to be sacrifices for sin in the kingdom if all Israel is going to be perfect? We all going to be changed. We're going to have immortal bodies. Immortal bodies means that they can't die. Immortal bodies, sin is, the wages of sin is death. So if a body is immortal, it's impossible for that body to sin. Why? Because the law, statutes, and commandments will be put into that body. See? So it says, and all that sat in the council, looking steadfastly on him, saw his face as it had been the face of an angel, because he had that glow of wisdom. A man's wisdom maketh his face to shine. And the Spirit of the Lord was upon this man. It was upon him before, but the Spirit of the Lord was heavy upon him at this moment. And that's why when you read the 7th chapter, he was rattling off that history, going back to Moses, going all the way back, right off the top of the dome. He was just boom, boom, breaking it down, boom, boom, And it got to the point where he cursed him out. He said, you stiff-necked and hard-hearted, you always resist the Holy Spirit as your father did, so do you. And that got them so mad. They was like, oh, you motherfucker, we gonna stone, we gonna crush Stephen. Just like an individual said, I'm gonna crush Rakaya Allah. That's how they were. They were gnashing with their teeth. They were so angry. Nothing makes a ninja angrier than not being able to resist what you're teaching. That makes them so angry. And that's why they had to suborn men. They had to hire false witnesses, because that's the only way they would be able to convict the men. Because the bottom line, Esau and Jake, that are not a part of the truth, they want this truth gone. They don't want to hear about it because it has no place in them. So they don't want to hear it. They don't want to talk about it. They don't want to hear it. And if they would take us all and just line us up, on a firing squad and just kill us all, they would be so happy. They would be so happy because they don't have to hear, the words of the Lord. Because the words of the Lord to them are like fingernails to a chalkboard, or the savor of death unto death. So if they had the opportunity, they would get rid of all of us. But you can't. Because the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahushai ordained us to do this. We are the ministers of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, not the ministers of men. We didn't go to no colleges to get no degree in theology or whatever the case may be. And this is what makes these individuals so mad, that they paid all this goddamn money to get a degree, and here it is. We know way more than they know. Haven't gone to any of these colleges. And they're amazed by that. This is why that devil vocab came to the camp. He ambushed us with his dirty self, and that's why Shamoun called you a coward, because you sent Shamoun for first. And I give it to that devil. he don't know the scriptures like that. You know, he knows certain things, but he had balls enough to confront us, be the first one to confront us. And that's why he called you a coward. Because you didn't want to come out. You had to send somebody out there first. And he went out there. And he acted like he wasn't with y'all. Y'all came in different. Y'all came just like those wicked Pharisees in them. Even though you're an Edomite. Y'all came, one here, two over there, three over here. And it came like y'all was coming from, y'all were just walking down the street, whistling Dixie. And all of a sudden, oh, wait a minute, are those the Israelites? Let me go over there and see what they got to say. Then another group came, but then y'all were all together. And then at the end of that whole thing, Vocab gave that stupid book to an elder pastor, but he bowed before the elder apostle and gave him the book. And he said, I didn't bow. Then brothers had a still of the picture. And I know he was like, damn. Because you're going to bow, boy. You're going to bow before the men of the Lord. Because you're an Edomite. You ain't no Israelite. And the pastor keeps saying, you better hope you're an Israelite. I don't think you are, but we'll see. But he bowed, in reverence to something he's coming against, because he can't resist the spirit of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. And just like Stephen had that glow, the men of the Lord have that glow. And these people know, but they're just wicked. So this, what the Apostle Paul did, is a small indication, to what's coming. There's going to be a great persecution against those that fear the Lord. And that's why it's important to dig in to pray, beg, and always keep, like Elder Apostle Rakat says, keep your medicine strong, because the time is coming, but this great persecution is coming, and the only solution, the only way out is through this gospel that we're teaching right now. I'm going to leave you with this last precept. And the subheading says, security of the one who trusts in the Lord. Wow. Psalms 91:1. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. And anyone that's under the shadow of the Almighty, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, are safe. The name of the Lord is a strong tower. The righteous runneth into it and is safe. It begins with the names. I will say of the Lord, he is my refuge and my fortress, my power. In him will I trust. Surely he shall deliver thee from the snare of the fowler and from the noisome pestilence. This, which is the missiles, which is the fowler is Esau. The snare is what? This New World Order, the MOTB, which is the micro C hip, and everything that he has set up to catch Jake in these different traps. Now, some of the elect are going to get caught up in it, because that's how they're going to glorify the Most High, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. But for the most part, the elect are going to be straight, because here it is, the elect are suffering now, the persecution, and then for them just to be taken in Esau's trap. So what's the use of serving the Lord then, if that's the case? So that's why serving the Lord is is very important, because when these things happen, that protection will be there. For his elect. It says, he shall cover thee with his feathers, which are the chariots, and under his wings shalt thou trust. His truth shall be thy shield and buckler. See? His truth shall be thy shield and buckler. This is why the Apostle Paul said, finally, brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. And he goes on to say, we're battling against demons. We're not battling against the flesh. And then he began to give this, great dissertation, so to speak, on how the word of the Lord is all different sorts of armor, and the different parts that this armor play. The helmet, the faith, the helmet, the shield, the sword, being shod with the preparation of the gospel. Are just all, decked out in the Lord's armor. You know, it's beautiful, man. So brothers, you know, you few sisters, you know, keep on hanging on in there. You know, help is coming. You know, your works are not in vain. You know that. You know, keep reading the scriptures, keep, you know, meditating on the Lord. You brothers out there, keep on teaching. You know, keep on being faithful to the Lord, and the Lord will be faithful to us. All right. So with that, I pray that you brothers and few sisters have been edified. To the next time I say, shalom.